Why pray if you can walk? And why walk if you can pray? Why pray if you can walk? And why walk if you can pray? At the background of these polemical questions is the presumption that prayer and walk are mutually exclusive. And sometimes an inaccurate interpretation of today's gospel seems to exclude one form or even extol one form against the other. That is prayer and action. Most times, Christian spirituality have used the contemplative and also the active elements of Mary and Martha to explain this gospel passage. But authentic Christian spirituality is the one that integrates prayer and action. As we know in the letter of St. James, chapter 2, that prayer without good works amounts to nothing. And we can see the beauty of Christian spirituality when we look at the diversity of prayer and action. And sometimes we can find ourselves falling into the extremism of one form against the other. That is mysticism and activism. So today we can look at how we are called to balance both forms of prayer. That is, we ought always to pray, as we know the Lord tells us in the Gospel of Luke 18, verse 1. We ought always to pray. On the other side, we also have to go to work. And that is where our obligation comes, especially in our time. Christians are called to be active in the world, as well as praying for everything that is happening around us. How active am I in terms of matching my prayer with action? We see that in the life of St. Paul, in the first reading of today. By the way, this week we are reading Paul's letter to the Galatians. So you watch out Paul's letter to the Galatians this week that highlights some of the things necessary for our Christian faith. As we know, the New Testament has 27 letters, and out of these 27 letters, Paul wrote 13 of them. 13 letters out of the 27. The 14th one, the letter to the Hebrews, is being debated whether it is from Paul or from someone else. So we see in the life of Paul that activism and also prayer, mysticism, you see that spread out in all his works. And so we begin this week to read Paul's letter to the Galatians that highlight that we are saved not necessarily by observance of the law, that is by the Judaic rituals, but by the faith and work of Christ Jesus. However, being saved by Christ does not stop there. We take that prayer that Christ has worked the salvation for us, but also he tells us to work out our salvation with fear and trembling. You see that marriage between mysticism and also activism. As we gather today to hear and observe the words of the Lord, we call to mind in our time, especially when we take one form of Christian faith that is always being active and walk and walk and walk and walk without making time for prayer. And that is where the balance begins to fall. Or we spend time praying and praying without taking action to match whatever it is that we want to achieve. That way it's not going to work. Even in businesses or in schools, we may have goals, wonderful goals, but we need to put steps, actions to realize whatever it is that we want to achieve. So my brothers and sisters, today we ask the Lord to guide us along the way of everlasting salvation. And that way we can always achieve through prayer and also good works. May the Lord bless his words in our hearts. was